Hey, thanks for listening to the Things I Learned Last Night. It's my favorite thing to do. My second favorite thing to do is stand-up comedy. And so we'd love for you to come to those shows. This month, I am in Houston, Plano, that's in Texas, Kingsport, Tennessee, Fredericksburg, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina, Milton, West Virginia. Where's that at, huh? Raleigh, North Carolina. It's in West Virginia. Indianapolis, Omaha, St. Louis, and Springfield, Missouri. So March 22nd, I am in Nashville, Tennessee, filming my comedy special. It got rescheduled. There's 2 shows on that Sunday. If you're within driving distance, put on a couple episodes, make the drive, come to the special taping. I'd love to see you there. So thanks for coming to shows. Let's get into the episode.
Hey, man.
What's going on?
Have you ever heard of Urantia?
I don't know if that's how it's pronounced.
Urantia? I'm pretty sure it's Urantia.
Okay. Okay. So for audio listener, he's showing me a logo that looks like the Target logo, but it's blue.
Yeah.
And it's Urantia.
Yeah.
You know, Urantia. So what is that? And it's all like, it's like they did this logo thing where the U blends in with the R, and it's very, this gives me 2006.
Oh, interesting. What judging by this, I'm curious what you think this is.
I would guess this is some kind of like not a tech company, but something that does, like, you know, it has something to do with the table of elements. You know what I'm talking about? Like they
Science?
were, yeah, but physics? Like science tech,
Chemical,
like a futuristic
biotech?
Chemical kind of that. What
Okay.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Interesting guess. Does your mind change at all when you see this graphic from them?
Oh no. Is this just a cult? Because now it's that same blue logo that looks like the Target logo, and it says "Live in Peace and Love" in the middle, and it's got all the logos of different religions. So it's got a cross, it's got, you know, the yin yang, it's got the menorah on there. Cool. All right. And then in the larger circle, it says goodness, truth, and beauty. This is a cult. Let's hear it. Okay. Okay. This has every religion's little, I mean, not every religion, I guess, but
Yeah.
all the major ones.
What about this?
We've read several books, you and I. So we understand.
We're illiterate.
And
so,
that's normal. Cannot overemphasize how normal that is. Show us.
I can't.
Take off your pants and show us your tattoo.
I can't.
Are you in this cult? Things I learned last night. Okay. So this is the Sleepy Time herbal tea. You know what I'm talking? You know the Sleepy Time tea where the little bear that's sitting in his little chair.
Yeah, Celestial
the
Seasonings.
Celestial Seasonings.
You get it every time you feel sick. Yeah, you drink
No,
this.
we have this at our house all the time. I love it. I mean, tea is great. We love a good tea.
No, but you drink the sleepy time when you feel sick. They have other flavors
that might
you drink
be true.
for normal time.
That might, for normal times.
Oh, this is sleepy time.
Yeah.
I need one of the sleepy times.
Give me a little
teas.
sleepy time tea.
Oh, no, I can't drink sleepy time right now. I need normal time. That's what it's called.
Is there
time.
stuff in it that helps you fall asleep, or is it just caffeine free? I don't know if I know about sleepy
I'm honestly
time.
not sure,
So-
actually.
How does the tea relate to what we're talking about?
We'll see. So to tell this story, we need to go back to
Okay.
1911.
I feel like this is going to end with the people drinking sleepy time tea like in like a Jonestown Kool-Aid type situation. Is that
that's
where we're going?
Interesting theory.
We're like, you ever heard of this? It'd be like if you were like, hey, you ever heard of this guy? And I was like, okay. And then you were like,
no, I haven't.
Tom Jones. And then you were like, and then you were like,
Jones.
and then you're like,
Wait, hold on.
is that not his name?
Is it Tom Jones? What's New Pussycat?
What's new? That might be wrong. Yeah.
What is-
I would join his cult. What's the Jonestown cult?
Jonestown cult founder.
It's blanking.
Jim Jones.
Jim
Very
Jones.
close.
I was like, as soon as I said it, I was like, I know that's not right.
Tom Jones.
I was like, gosh, I can't remember his name though.
I really like the alternate universe where Tom Jones did his whole music career and then did Jim Jones.
If you showed a picture of Jim Jones and then you were like, okay, but also, do you know this? And you showed a picture of the Kool-Aid Man. And I go, well, that's crazy. Did he voice him or something? And you would go, let's get into the story. You know, like that's.
Did he voice him or something?
That's what I worry about.
Yeah, it's not that severe.
Okay.
I'll say that for sure. It's not that severe.
Okay.
So 1911, there's this physician in Chicago by the name of William S. Sadler.
Okay. So a normal guy?
He is a normal doctor. Here's his wife, Lena Sadler. And
normal.
That's him.
And that's their kid.
That's their kid.
That's
not him.
Your joke was that's
is
him.
Not him.
Why does she look photoshopped into the background?
I think they cut the background out of this photo for some reason.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they did. Because you can kind of see the railing behind them.
I guess.
I think they cut it out. I'm not really sure why they did, but for some reason they did. They lived in Chicago, and he was a physician. And it's important to state that they were normal. Like normal doctors.
Okay. It's important just to get ahead for the beginning of this that they're, listen, normal. Regular doctors.
Just regular, normal doctor people.
Not a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And Sadler was interesting because he was a surgeon. He was, and this is something you can't do anymore, a self-trained physician.
Yeah. That's true.
And then he also became an author, writing books about.
Being a self-trained physician is not something you can do.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Legally.
I have thought about this a lot, though, like preparing for this, because like in my line of work, writing code, a lot of people you meet, like it really is 50-50, like people who went and got a computer science degree and people who are self-taught. Like there are a lot of people in this career that are self-taught, and it's just not something you can see in certain careers. Like if you meet a doctor and they say I'm self-taught, like you run away.
Stand-up comedy. We've all gone through stand-up comedy school. Every single one of us.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks for... See, that's a career that you have to be trained.
Barely.
It's not really a career, but you do have to be trained to do it.
Barely. Podcasting, they just sold this stuff to us, dude. We went on Amazon. We were like, let's buy some podcast mics. And you know what? They shipped them.
Yeah, they
didn't ask us anything.
They didn't ask a single
They weren't
question.
like, hey, are you going to spread misinformation that's detrimental to the society and then to ultimately create a vision that maybe can't be repaired? No. I didn't even have to check a box. I literally just went, buy now.
Buy now.
Put it on the Costco credit card. I'm never going to pay that off.
Okay, so William Sadler.
But these guys are normal. This is a normal doctor. He trained himself, but he's a doctor.
This was a time where that was relatively normal, that you would learn by yourself. And how you learn on your own, how you self-teach medicine, I don't know. But he also was an accomplished author.
Yeah, that's why you haven't done it. How do you teach yourself medicine? I don't know. Oh, really? Yeah, I bet if you knew, you'd do it.
Yep.
You know what's crazy is my neighbor is a dentist.
Yeah.
I've told you this before.
Yeah.
My neighbor manages a dental office, and but she's like a full dentist in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Like the everything.
Yeah.
Right. But then to come here, there's no abbreviated program or test or anything that can prove that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
She has to do the full 8 years of dental school all over again if she wants to practice here in the States.
Crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
You know? So now she just manages a dental office, even though she knows everything, because teeth don't change. That's not a field that changes. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, they don't.
But they don't really, their teeth have been the same for a long time.
Have you thought about how crazy it is that like dentists have, I don't know how to say this out loud without sounding crazy.
Dentists have, I don't know how to say this out loud without sounding crazy. Oh, we can't. We're all tuned in, Tim.
I think it's just very peculiar to me that somewhere along the line, and I don't know when or where, I don't know the history, so this is literally just my brain being crazy, so this might be something I shouldn't put out in public, but I'm gonna. Dentists managed to carve out this one tiny little part of the human body and say, this is ours. Doctors, you can't do this. This is us. We're the specialists of this, and you can't touch this. But like if you go to any other hospital, like if you go to a hospital, yeah, there are specialists who specialize, like podiatrists specialize.
Oh, you're saying the fact that dentists aren't at the hospital? That is crazy. Actually.
Yeah,
now
they're
that
like,
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, they're like, this is ours,
and it's not included in your health insurance.
Yeah, if you go to the hospital,
it's in my body.
Yeah, if you go to the hospital, the doctor's like, well, it's your teeth. We can't touch that.
That is interesting.
You're going to have to go to the dentist. That's really weird to me. Like, that's really weird to me.
Yeah, there's an orthopedic surgeon who's there.
They can do everything
The
else.
ear, nose, and throat doctor at the hospital.
At the hospital.
The foot doctor at the hospital.
Even like your eyes, like you go to the eye doctor for your glasses, but like if something happens to your eyes, you still go to the hospital.
The optometrist?
But the dentist is like, that's ours. You can't go to the hospital for that. That's very weird to me. And I don't know why or how that happened.
Well, I think it's because what's the guy that we talked about? What's the dentist that we did a story on? He had the necklace of teeth.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but yeah, the crazy teeth guy.
Yeah. I think it was Tom Jones, maybe.
Thomas Midgley?
Doctor, what's that?
Was it Thomas Midgley? Is that his name?
No, I don't think it was Thomas Midgley. I don't remember. But I think that it was a service that you would end up with these traveling guys who tooth pain was pretty common.
Yep.
And these guys could pull your teeth, but they couldn't fix your broken bones.
Yeah.
And so they figured out, like, if I get you drunk enough, I can pull this tooth out.
I can pull this tooth.
You know?
Yeah, actually.
But like that's what dentistry was for a long time.
Yeah.
Here, drink this.
Yep.
Because it's the one thing that it's not like you can be like, all right, bite down on this while I snap your bone back in place. It's like, no, I gotta get you drunk. I gotta get you drunk. And then I can take care of that tooth. You know? That is interesting that they're not at hospitals, though. That just freaks me out a little bit.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. I think it's probably something about the
I think
way
it
that
has to do with just how everything kind of came together through all the stuff.
Yeah,
there's so many things in our society that are just like, yeah, we did this the way in the 1800s, and that's why now we just do it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is strange.
So we can change it at any point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could.
I think it's crazy that they can. I really did think this when I left the dentist. I was like, man, that's insane that you guys are just able to drill out part of my tooth, replace it with, what's the white stuff that they're not porcelain, is it? No. What are they replacing it with? That
enamel?
Yeah, where it's like they have that little blue light that's like,
yeah.
And then they can shape it, and then in my mouth, I'm like, that feels exactly the same. How'd you do that?
Like the same thing.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's pretty crazy that they figured this stuff out.
That is crazy.
Because they used to just have to pull all your teeth out.
Yeah, that is insane, actually. I don't know. It seems a little schemy.
So he was at a time, and this was, he's a self-trained doctor, and he lived in a time where you could be run out of town. Don't I miss it? Okay, and he was normal guy.
Yeah, normal guy. Absolutely. I cannot overemphasize enough how normal this guy
Boring.
is.
Boring. I hope that this isn't my legacy. I hope that 50 years from now, people are like, can't overemphasize. Just a normal guy. Boring, regular, nothing really exciting. Had a wife and a kid. We don't even know her name.
Yeah. So his wife, Lena, you think that's Lena, L-E-N-A?
Lena, probably.
Lena grew up with another woman by the name of Ella Osborne Davis. Went to church with her, Seventh-day Adventists. And because of that, they became close family friends of the man that Ella married, who was a guy by the name of William Kellogg, who you might know from our
episode about William Kellogg.
Well, we did the episode John Harvey Kellogg.
Oh.
Because John Harvey was crazy. William was his brother who took the company from him
and made
Kellogg cereal.
Okay. We did do an episode about John Harvey Kellogg, which is a great episode. It's a crazy
really
story.
Episode. Yeah. Which I'm going to be honest, I wanted to go back and listen to that before. I can't remember why. Do you remember why John Harvey Kellogg was so weird?
What was weird about him?
Yeah. Wasn't he really weird for some
Well, his whole thing was that he thought cornflakes were going to make it so that you weren't.
That's right.
He was like, yeah, the kids just want to kiss all the time, and this'll really dampen that out.
Give him more boring
He
cereal.
figured that every problem came from your gut is what his whole thing was.
That's right.
So he thought if we could make the blandest diet possible,
Yeah, you wouldn't sin anymore.
that you wouldn't sin, but also you wouldn't have health problems and stuff. That was his theory. It was a complete junk. But
and his brother was like, "This is crazy, but the cereal is pretty good. We're gonna sell this cereal."
Yeah, we're gonna sell this bland cereal everywhere.
Yeah. So they became family friends with Will. And Will, here's what I should say actually, real quick. Allegedly, Will called the Sadlers.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say Will. Ella called the Sadlers. And
What
said,
year is this again?
1911.
So I don't think they called him, huh?
Yeah, I guess they telegrammed. Ella telegrammed.
Called him. He FaceTimed him. And was like,
Texted him.
Hey, what up, boo? I'm just over here hanging out. My brother's cray. You know, like he's just saying a bunch of stuff that's not 1911.
Ella telegrammed the Sadlers and said, "Hey, Will has been talking in his sleep, and it's really weird. Since you're a self-taught doctor, I would love it if you would come self-teach him to stop doing that because I can't sleep." And so the Sadlers were
That's that in Morse code. I'm doing it in Morse code.
So if you listen to Morse code.
If you know Morse code.
You know Morse code. Hype. Was that SOS?
No.
He's here against his will. We haven't done that bit in a while. That was definitely SOS. Because I know SOS in Morse code. So you just did something that I know. And you're going to pay for it.
Alex knows that he's an Eagle Scout. He has to.
They don't teach Morse code.
They have to know. They have to know Morse code and Braille.
Legally, you have to know Morse code.
So
she telegrams them, says, "Hey, he's talking in his sleep. Will you come watch it and see if it's weird? Because it's weird to me."
Yeah.
And so the Sadlers show up. They watch it. And it's really interesting.
Because he's describing the 5th season of Modern Family to a T. It's great. In his sleep, he's just like, Jay and Gloria. And they're like, who are these people? Who is he talking about? He's just, I mean, if you go back and listen to the audio, because they had audio back then, and if you go back and listen to it, it's just every episode, word for word, it's 5th season of Modern Family.
It's really interesting because in 1929, he puts out a book called The Mind of Mischief. William Sadler.
Okay. What? You just mixed them up.
William S. Sadler.
Okay.
Writes a book in 1929.
Not William Kellogg. Sorry, I mixed them up.
And he writes a book talking about how in I should say, the whole book is about the supernatural. And so his whole book is about how the mind can create crazy visions of things and make you believe things that are not true. And so the whole book is how the psychology of the supernatural.
Right.
And it's really grounded. The whole book is super grounded. And he's basically like discrediting every side of supernatural anything. And then at the very end of the book, he says, but there was this one time in 1911.
Wow, this is a really good book. Oh my gosh, I haven't been able to put it down. This is awesome. Yeah. And the last 2 pages are just, one time in 1911, my wife woke up in the middle of the night to me talking about Cam and Mitchell and what they were doing on their adventures. And you're like, what is this going on?
What is this? This is really weird. And basically, he says in 1911, there was a subject that I observed who was speaking in his sleep. And he would have these moments where he'd be completely unconscious, completely asleep. He was not able to recall anything he said in those moments. Even if we told him about it, like we could not jog his memory, could not get him to have any recollection of what he was saying. And he would reveal things about physics and astrology and astronomy, the history.
And this is Kellogg who's having these night things.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly, it's Kellogg. There's nothing that ever says it's Kellogg, but there has been some people who've done some research.
Put the pieces together.
This has got to be William Kellogg.
Yeah.
Because what the things make them have sharp edges. The 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 documents about this, they say that it was a prominent businessman that was in close relationship with the Sadlers. So it kind of is like, that's the one guy that they know that was a prominent businessman.
Sure.
But he says that he would talk about these things that they would then go verify and they were true. But he did not know about these subjects. And like, it's very odd that he was able to recount these things in his story.
Okay.
And so he basically, in this 1929 book, says this is a very strange thing he did, that he witnessed, that he doesn't have a category for and he can't explain. And so he's like, all the supernatural things in this book I can explain and show how the human brain can
put these things
create this stuff and create this sort of mythology that comes from the supernatural. But this one experience in 1911, I can't explain. I don't understand.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you like this show, we would love to see you on our Patreon. It's a great way to financially support the show. We don't make money from this. It just helps us to pay the people who do make money from this, like Alex and Robert, our editor, and maybe one day me and Tim.
Maybe
but,
one day.
You know, but only if you join.
Only if you join. We can't
We're
get
waiting.
paid
We can't get paid
until you pay.
We can't feed Tim's kid until you join.
He's hungry.
So,
in the arms of an angel. And he didn't say it's
So his
true.
whole book was like debunking supernatural things.
Yes.
And then at the end,
not
he
just
goes,
debunking, but explaining how the human mind creates those things and believes those things.
Okay.
Like it sounds interesting. I haven't read it, but it sounds interesting because it's
I have read it. I'm listening. Yeah, I like to read books from 1914 pretty often. I love
1929. And
cut that out, I guess.
no, that's funny. I like
You're
that.
just going. And like, what?
Anyways. So this comes out and he's basically like, I don't have an explanation for it. Everything else I can explain, but I can't explain this.
Yeah.
What comes out later is around this same time, he got this group of people he trusts, not just physicians, but people like academics together. And they basically formed what I could best describe as a Bible study, but without the Bible, where they all were trying to figure out this guy who would have these talk in his sleep, but talk.
So it was a William Kellogg study.
Yeah, a Kellogg study. Yeah, I like that. But what's interesting is the Sadlers, I should say the Kellogg's, did not want anyone to know that it was William Kellogg because he had a career to defend.
Yeah, of course.
And they were very wealthy. And so he was not a part of
People
this.
can't think I'm crazy.
Yeah, he was not a part of this group, but he was willing to participate. And so the Sadlers were given access to go watch Kellogg sleep and see what he would say to sleep.
Yeah.
And then they would go to their little Bible study group and they'd be like, here's what Kellogg said last night. And then they would talk about it.
Here's what our subject said last night.
Yes. And so no one there knew who this guy was, but they were all fascinated by him.
Sure.
And as the years went on of them listening to the things that this guy said, they started to wonder, can we prompt him? Can we ask him questions and will he respond? And the answer to that question was yes. And so they were like, while he's asleep, you can ask him something and he will answer what you're saying. And
okay, Bashar.
it sounds very similar to this Bashar thing. Where they
Are you going to bring up Bashar later?
No, I'm not. But you want to talk about him a little bit?
No, not yet. Explain what this is, and then we'll talk about Bashar. We've talked about Bashar before, right?
I think so.
Anyway, yeah. Alex just went. Alex is like, we got to get out of here.
Okay, hurry up.
Okay, buddy. Alex, sit down. Blair, would you handcuff him, please?
We need to detain that guy.
Do your job.
Do your
No.
job.
Don't give me that attitude. Thank you.
Sadler put out a second edition of Mind of Mischief, and he said there's this one thing in 1911 I can't explain, and then there's also this podcast that has this woman who just floats in the room.
You're obsessed with her flesh. She's real.
She floats in the room.
Stupid bit. Sorry, Blair.
And she makes this crazy sound when she floats. I can't explain it. I don't understand.
What's the sound?
And she has this tail that looks tiny, like a little electrical cord. It's really long.
Tiny electrical cord. It's 1911, but I know what electrical cords are.
And so throughout the 30s and 40s, they're going over to the Kellogg's house and they're watching him sleep and they're asking him questions in his sleep. And they bring a stenographer and the stenographer's writing down everything that he says on their little typewriters.
And now they do it with their mouths. You seen those people? I love these stenographers. Where they have the whole thing.
You're just ASMR spoken tongues.
It's pretty crazy.
It is insane. And yeah. So for a couple decades, they're writing down everything he says and asking him questions to prompt him and see what his opinions are about it. And then in 1955, they organized the Urantia Foundation and they release the Urantia book. And this is this book.
Oh no. Part 1, the central and super universes. Part 2, the local universe.
Yeah.
Part 3, the history of Urantia. And part 4, obviously, where we got to go, the life and teachings of Jesus. Okay.
And this is a 2009.
Urantia is the name of our planet. That's what it says on there. Urantia is the name of our planet.
So this is a 2,097 page book that they released that are literally I shouldn't say literally, allegedly transcripts of the things that William Kellogg said in his sleep.
Do we have anything? Where can we get this? Can we rent this from the library, you think?
I don't know if this would be in the library, but it's for sale online. They still sell it.
How much is it?
Let's see.
Put it on my card. They're like, are you going to use this information responsibly? There's no question.
There's no question. It's like 30. I mean, it depends where you buy it. Anywhere from $10 to $40. Here's one on eBay for $350. I think this is like an old copy, like one of the original copies, I'm guessing. Yeah, this is an original 1955 edition for $350.
That's crazy. So who has released this?
The Urantia.
And who is behind Urantia? It's Dr. Sadler?
Yeah, Sadler was the founder and this organization that he formed.
Who, again, normal guy.
Studies. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's a 2,097 page book. And
how many pages are in the Bible? Depends on which translation,
it depends on which translation.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on which translation. But just do the CSB or do the NIV. Do a translation. Pick one.
I mean, it depends on like how many like how big the text is in the print. Here's what it says. Depending on the size of the print and the size of the pages, somewhere between 700 and 2,500 pages.
Okay, so it's a Bible.
Yeah, it is a Bible. Yeah,
Let me see a picture of this book. You got a picture of the book?
Like a physical version of the book, not just the cover.
Tim. What else would I mean?
Well,
what else would I mean?
This is a picture.
What else? This is a
picture of the book.
This is a page of the book. This is not a picture. This is a document of the book. You have a picture of what the book. I'm talking about how big a book is. Use the context clues.
Okay, this is a more recent edition of the book. They're the most. What I'm saying.
If you show me the Harry Potter book, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. This is a more recent rendition of the book. You're gonna show me Narnia. I know it. You're gonna show me Narnia because Urantia looks like Narnia. You're gonna show me Narnia. Here you go. Let's do your joke. Do your joke.
Okay, here you go.
He didn't do it. He just showed me. He showed me the book.
Comedy is subverting expectations.
Yeah, but you were getting ready to, weren't you?
I wasn't. No, I was subverting your expectations.
See, I would buy this. This is a coffee table book for sure.
Can you imagine going to someone's house and this is sitting on the
table? It's pretty cool looking.
And on the cover says the parts of the book. That's what I love the most about
That's what I'm saying.
You don't even have to open this book to see the table content.
So the parts of the book. Yeah.
So
okay.
So here's the storyline of the book. The book.
Where does this go with the T?
The book.
What's the T, Tim?
What's interesting about the book is it's separated into those 4 parts. And essentially, it's the history of the universe. And the concept here is that we are a part of a grand universe made up of a bunch of super universes that are circling what they call the Isle of Paradise. And in there is the perfect universe called Havona. And in there are the enlightened beings who have created all the universes that exist out in the rest.
So this
of us.
really is like Bashar. They're asking questions.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Bashar is, we've talked about him before. Can you just pull up a picture of the guy?
Yeah.
It's this guy who claims to have, and like we should probably do like a quick aside episode on him sometime. Work it into another story, maybe.
Gosh dang it.
What? What?
What is Bashar?
Look up Bashar alien guy.
There's another guy named Bashar.
No, look up Bashar alien guy.
Here we go.
Do I gotta teach you how to Google stuff?
I found his real name. No, it's just there's another guy named Bashar.
I'm
who's
sure.
also very
I'm
famous.
sure there's plenty of people named Bashar.
And so that was the
It's a real
only
name.
one that was coming up when I searched Bashar.
Yeah, look up Bashar alien guy. So there's a guy who goes to these conferences and all this stuff, and like he's done like MRIs while he's in
It's
this
very weird.
trance state or whatever, where he like enters in and it's like he's channeling the communication of a different entity through him, and you can talk to and so they've done tests.
His like eyes will roll back in his head and his voice changes.
He claims, or if they claim that he's done these tests to show that his brain activity really is turned off during this. And he always wears these, I mean, he's looking tropical all the time. You know? This is not even like, this is a picture that's not even like, oh, we caught him off guard. This is what he wears to these conferences. And people will be like, do you think the humans will make contact with us? And he'll go, I don't know if it's offensive for me to copy him. Maybe, I don't care. Or he'll go, yes, we you know, and he'll
He
be
does
like,
have these like spasms when he does it.
yeah, and it's, you know, good on this guy for finding his grift, but
For finding his grift.
if it's,
that's
I mean,
what it
like, but
is.
also like, if you're telling me that he's accessing a different part of his brain, even, you know.
Yeah, he always does that with his hands when he does these.
He always does that, and he makes these weird noises, and then starts.
And then his voice gets so much deeper.
Yeah, it's very
It
weird.
is really weird.
It's
It
really
is
weird
really
to watch.
But that's essentially what they're saying is happening here. Is they're
That's what
talking
I'm
to-
saying is that if it could be like the same, and that's what I mean is that this guy might genuinely believe that this is a different entity, but it's just a different consciousness in his brain. There's some kind of split or some ability to do that.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to turn it on. But like, you know, it could be potentially that Kellogg was just falling into that in sleep.
Yep.
And so they were talking to a different awake version of him.
Yep.
And maybe that's just something we don't know how the brain works, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably. And so, or they're just grifters.
Or they're grifters.
Or they're grifters.
That's a huge possibility.
That's also possible. But anyways, so the storyline goes, we're a part of these super universes. Our local universe is a universe called Nebadon. And in there are 10 million inhabited worlds. They're all at different parts of their journey. And the whole journey, the intention of the journey is every living being is connected to what they call a thought adjuster or a divine spark. And that thought adjuster is trying to help you gain enlightenment to understand what helps you get to that main core universe of Havona.
Okay.
That's the paradise. And
Havona, heaven.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
everyone's searching ascension. When you die, you're going to go through what they call mansion worlds. And there you're going to be educated and evolved to that point of ascension where you can then finally go to Havona.
Okay.
And our planet, our actual planet is Urantia. And Urantia is a relatively young planet in the scale of this super universe things. And the human race specifically is about 1 million years old. And the human race has had been progressing really well through their timeline of the way all the thought adjusters were trying to educate us and help us grow. But something happened. Each planet is assigned a prince from these like super intelligent beings. And these princes are supposed to oversee them.
Our prince is Jesus.
While our prince is a man named Lucifer.
Oh, okay.
Or I should say a being named Lucifer. And 200,000 years ago, he rebelled and he thought through his own pride that he should be greater than all the other princes. And so he rebelled.
So this really is a merger of biblical mythology and
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of this, what's interesting when you look at the whole story is there is a ton of Christian themes that are bended just a little bit to fit this idea of the universe.
Yeah.
But there is kind of like this.
It's kind of like what a lot of the Christian influencers and podcasters do now, where it's like there's Christian themes, but that's not what this is at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a little more though, because it's very pantheistic. Like it's pulling in influences from every world religion, which is a very common thing from the 50s.
That cults like to do.
Yeah, and so they're pulling in influences from all these different religions, but also these influences from science and these influences from like science fiction. And so as the story goes, 200,000 years ago, Lucifer rebelled, and then our planet was quarantined because it was a danger to the rest of the planets in the system. And so we are not allowed to ascend to this higher level because of that rebellion kind of broke us. And so we're now trying to atone for that rebellion is where we're at. And that's why things are so bad, is because we're in this kind of like intellectual prison almost, and we can't.
So has everyone that's ever been alive felt like they're living in the worst time that's ever existed? Well, is that what we're saying?
What's really interesting is if you think about it, 1911, when this supposedly began, World War I. And then through that, they go through the Great Depression and then World War II, and then this finally comes out.
I do think about
50s.
A lot how, like, we've read several books, you and I. So we understand.
We're illiterate.
No, I was talking about Sloshing Torch Utopia and how the back half of the 19th century is an anomaly.
Yeah.
That this world that we're nostalgic for of the 50s and 60s of this, or even post 80s of like the fall of the Berlin Wall and Russia being pushed back on the, like, all of those things are so rare in human history that like we weren't in feudalism or wars or or people dying of diseases on mass scale, that we think that was just normal. Yeah. But like what we're living through is actually more close to normal than the past couple decades have been.
Yeah, normal is instability. Yeah. Stability is very rare in the history of
That's what I mean. Race. Yeah. And I mean that in the broad spectrum of everything. I mean that is like the way that our country is, but also the way that our
the whole planet is
whole planet relationally. Right like now. That's what I'm saying. Is like there's a lot of elements, a lot of moving pieces that like this is not. We're at some weird places right now.
100%.
Yeah. And so, that's normal. Cannot overemphasize how normal that is.
It's so normal.
But like that's what I mean is like, has everyone who's ever lived just felt like, oh my gosh, it can't get worse.
I mean, yeah. Because you look at, even you look at the Gospels, everybody was like, oh, the Messiah is going to come and fix all of this mess.
Yeah, that's true.
It really is. Like we've always felt like this can't be the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so the whole first half of this book, the whole first part, I should say, is explaining the history of the universe and why it was created. And really the creation was that we are supposed to gain ascension. And it all culminates in this moment. 200,000 years ago, Lucifer rebels. And then about 6,000 years ago, they attempted to restart. And so that's where Adam and Eve came into the story. And this was the recreation of
so
humanity.
Ken Ham's right. They're only 6,000 years ago.
To try to create humanity and give us a new birth. And then Jesus comes in as one of the great prophets, part of this to become our new prince and to lead us towards ascension.
Okay.
So Jesus is supposed to replace Lucifer because Lucifer rebelled, is the concept. And then the second part and the third part are just a collection of history and science and other concepts.
A hodgepodge of stuff.
Yeah, to just be like, here's how the world works. Here's how everything works. And we'll come back to that. Leave that for a second. And then the fourth part is the life of Jesus, but specifically that part from age 12 to age 30 that the Bible doesn't talk about. And it's like, here's everything the Bible doesn't tell you about Jesus.
And
it's long.
Yeah.
It's like 1,000 pages of like, here's everything Jesus did that the Christians don't want you to know about.
Yeah.
And they don't, and no one knew.
Like he was in a band. And then...
But he wanted to be taken seriously.
Peter broke off and started Angels and Airwaves.
But later I'm going to tell you that it wasn't Peter.
Sorry. James broke off and started Angels and Airwaves.
Yeah.
And then Jesus was the 5 loaves, 2 fish. It's a long name, but
Too long of a name. Too long of a name, but whatever. That's just how they did it back in my
but
day.
his concerts were the most well attended. 5,000 people.
5,000 people. Can you imagine 5,000 people on a hillside?
Can you picture it?
Can you picture it?
And imagine
Singing a big, big house.
I
That was
hate,
Jesus.
I
Jesus
hate
originally
how
wrote
easy
that.
it is for us to slip into our youth pastor voices. It's truly wild how easy we can just. It's almost like I can just go. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us at North Point this week. We're so excited that you're here. Hey, if you're a first-time guest, we want to extend a special welcome to you and just say thank you for making North Point your home for the weekend. If you are just checking us out, please take a second to fill out that card on the back of the seat in front of you or scan this QR code. We'd love to get you connected. So a couple things going on around church this weekend. Like, oh my gosh, it's so easy to get back
You
into
went a
it.
totally different angle than I was going to go.
Oh, also, hey guys, we're getting ready to. This is our giving portion of the service, and again, if you're a first-time guest, there is no pressure to do this.
Imagine going to a church and that's how the guy's doing it. Eyes closed, hands like this. There's
We are
no
about to
pressure
do the
give.
giving portion of our service. If you are a first-time guest, there is no pressure for you to give. We just want you to feel welcome.
Oh boy, am I sick. I sure do need Tim Stone's Get Well Quick Trick. And what is it? It's simply chug an entire gallon of orange juice. Wow, I forgot. And then this shirt reminded me. I'm so glad that I have this shirt as a public service announcement, a public health service to other people around me. Do your part. Get this shirt. Shop.TILLN.com.
So here's what's interesting. Those two sections in the middle,
Yeah.
the majority of that section are plagiarized books and documents, like word for word plagiarized documents.
Okay.
And what's really interesting when you look into these are books and scholarly studies that Sadler uses as references in his other books.
Okay.
And so he's just like, yeah, this is going to be in the Urantia book too. Really interesting.
So he's piecing this together too. Like, so it's not just transcripts of.
I don't know. Well, I mean, okay.
What do the inside pages look like? Have you got any pictures or screenshots rather? Maybe some PDF downloads of any of just a single of the 2,097 pages that's in this book. Just one of them.
Here we go.
I just want to make sure I'm as clear as possible when I'm asking for things from you because you go, what do you mean? A picture of the book.
What do you mean? Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Not only have I not read this, I can't read this on my screen. It's too small.
Let's see what it says.
It's too small. So we're going to find out together what this actually says when I put this on screen in a second. Here it is. Okay, ready?
Opening shot, Phil and Claire riding bikes down their neighborhood, and they run into a new woman who has moved in, but is a soccer mom on the team of Luke's team. Well, it's not very good English. Okay, what does it say though?
Yeah, this is the preface. Let me get you an actual. This is an actual.
Yeah, give me a page from the book. Oh my god!
I told you I couldn't read that, and that
I have to describe everything in great detail for this guy because he just can't even understand. In this sense, the reference makes an interesting but distinct point. Oh, that's okay. So we're getting some indexes, Okay. The universal Father is the God of all creation, the first source and center of all things and beings. First think of God as a creator, then as a controller, and lastly as an infinite upholder. Okay, so this is like written. This is 2,000 pages of that dense. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay, and so they're claiming that this is all the stuff that he had said in his sleep.
In his sleep, and they wrote it down. Yeah.
Hold on. Here's a quote at the end. From the universal Father who inhabits eternity, there has gone forth the supreme mandate. Be you perfect, even as I am perfect. Show us.
I can't.
Take off your pants and show us your tattoo.
I can't pull
Tim
it up.
has the words "be perfect" on his
I
thigh.
do have the words "be perfect" on my thigh.
Are you in this cult?
No, I just take what Jesus says seriously.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is the book.
Yeah, so it's pretty, I would say, incoherent ramblings and clear plagiarism.
Okay.
What's interesting is a newer adherent to the faith, I guess you could call it, has, by the name of William Block. He outlines, or he talks about all of the plagiarism, and he, on their website, has actually listed, here's all the plagiarized documents, and he doesn't call it a bad thing. And it's an interesting argument, but it's also kind of crazy. And then his argument is that we must understand that these messages are not coming from humans. And in our culture and in the way we see the world, there is something wrong with plagiarism to us. But to these higher level beings, all of these thoughts come from them in the first place. And so they're not taking other people's ideas. Yeah, we're taking the idea.
It's not my money, it's God's money.
Yeah, it's that kind of concept.
I'm just managing it for him.
And so he calls the all the plagiarized.
You know the reference I'm making? Have you seen that Dave Ramsey clip?
Yes.
Where it's like people can't be mad at me because I own a bunch of homes. It's not my money, it's God's money. Right.
Yeah, it's the same concept.
I want you to know that God is in a lot of credit card debt over here.
It's not my debt. It's God's debt.
It's not my debt.
That's what I tell the
God's debt. That's his fault for putting me in charge of this.
Every time collections calls, I tell him,
God's
you better
credit
call
score
God.
is in the 500s over here, and he better get that on lock. You know what I'm saying?
Ring, ring, collections. You better pray.
I go to creditkarma.com. I log in with Jesus at heaven.net.
He has a .net.
Yeah, someone sniped the .com. Lucifer.
But he calls it a masterpiece of restatement.
Okay.
So he spins it like this is an incredible thing that they plagiarized.
When is this
all
the modern
stuff.
guy?
Yeah, this is a new guy.
Okay.
A new researcher talking about it.
Sure.
So this becomes, I shouldn't say like hugely popular, but relatively popular in this like pseudoscience, like alternative religion space. A bunch of people start buying it and start like adhering to the concepts of Urantia.
Okay.
And this becomes a nonprofit foundation. You can donate to it or you can purchase the books, and that's where they bring in their income. And last estimate I saw recently is they're worth about $3 million. So not like hugely successful, but successful.
Okay. So it's still going.
Yeah, it's still going. They're still printing.
Where's the
books.
headquarters at?
I think it's Chicago.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Let me
What does it
verify
have to do with the tea?
So as Sadler, they in the 50s, he started researching herbal teas and how they could like help the body for a lot of different things.
Okay.
Specifically ancient people. And then he started Celestial Seasonings, and that's where he got the name, is because we're part of the celestial bodies. And so the seasonings, the tea company is loosely affiliated. Like there's nothing in it where he like tries to teach things with it, but it was like a company he started to sell the tea. Sold the company to private equity, and now they continue to run the company.
So private equity. So the Celestial Seasonings tea started by a cult.
Yes. Yeah. It was started by the cult. Yeah, 100%. And then
But it's sold to private equity.
It became very successful.
Which is the cult of capitalism. Okay? Is these overlords who sell you a lie, and they make you think that, oh, you're just going to sell your business to me, and then we're going to help you grow. We're going to help you keep going. Like, you cashed out. You're good. No, they're just going to squeeze every little, you know what they are?
Every little thing.
They're like squeezing, literally, the tea's a great analogy for it, because they're just squeezing all the flavor and nutrients out of that little tea bag, and they just leave you with the tea bag.
Yeah. Yeah, and they say, I hope you are happy.
They throw it away when they're done.
I hope you're happy.
I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now. I am defying gravity. So, whatever. So Celestial Seasonings tea is started by a cult.
Yeah, allegedly. I should say, not allegedly. We know Sadler started the tea company, and we know Sadler started Urantia. So it wasn't started by the cult, but it was started by the cult's founder.
Do we think this is a cult?
Yeah, cult is a tough word. It's more like there's not a lot of culty activities that this organization does, because that's the one thing from the book that they are very careful to outline, that the Christian church strayed from Jesus' teachings, and they began to become an organization that was focused on outreach and growing its own wealth,
right,
and power and influence, instead of being focused on the teachings of Jesus. And so they greatly expanded what the teachings of Jesus were, but their idea is like, we want to actually teach what those teachings were, instead of like be evangelical.
So they're not a cult in the sense that's like, we have this rigid set of beliefs that you have to follow and be a part of. There's no compound or structure within.
It's pretty broad. There's not like
just
a religious
more of like
body. It's this book that is
ethereal,
special knowledge.
Okay.
And the idea is you learn this stuff and then you try to live this life and achieve ascension. But there's not like
there's no power dynamics. There's
no, there's nothing like that.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of teachings that feel like cult.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of the like activities that are a cult. It's very strange.
Huh.
Yeah. It really is kind of just like a new age.
Do they do like meetings?
Do
they do like?
As far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like it. At least not official Urantia meetings. They sell the book.
Yeah.
They sell the book. They teach the things from the book. They don't like have.
That's what I'm saying. There's no who's teaching.
I'm not. I guess
are there courses? Are there videos? Are there teachers? Are there evangelists? Are there?
Well, I don't think that there are evangelists, because that was one thing that they're pretty anti the way Christianity became so evangelical. Right. So like I don't think they're out there like campaigning for these beliefs. But it looks like they have nowadays, and I don't know if this is like something that's new or not, but like just looking, they have a conference that they do.
Okay.
They do a retreat in Florida. And then there are some study groups that exist throughout the country, but it's not clear whether these are like sanctioned from Urantia Foundation or these are people who like believe in it that are putting together groups to meet.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's very nebulous.
Yeah. But every time you drink one of those teas, you're drinking in the core of Havana. So think about that. Havana.
Yeah.
Okay. So Will, in the John
Harvey Kellogg
episode, in the John Harvey Kellogg episode,
yeah,
we described William Kellogg as the level-headed one.
Yeah.
As like the normal guy.
Yeah. What's interesting is it might be like he's having night terrors of being crazy like his brother. What's interesting is
and John Harvey's over there like, I knew it the whole time.
They grew up as Seventh-day Adventists.
Yeah.
And
so there's
so
a lot of
Sadlers.
elements of it where it's like this is so baked into your vocabulary.
And so did this group, like Bible study group that was studying him.
Right.
We're all former Seventh-day Adventists that left the Seventh-day Adventist church because they disagreed with a lot of the foundations of it.
Right.
And so this was like, I've thought a lot about what I think is going on here. I think it's one of like a couple things. It could genuinely just be a big grift. But I think what could be happening is I think the sleep talking might have been real, and he has ever since then not been able to explain it, and he went a little crazy trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then he got this group of people together that like fed into the crazy.
Right.
And then it became this big thing. And so even though he was a normal guy, like there was this part of him that was a little insane because he couldn't figure out this one thing with his friend Kellogg.
Yeah.
And then
that
it
could
developed into this big attempt to explain
it's the brain's desire to have an answer and to close the loop.
Mm-hmm.
And if you spend decades with an open loop, then yeah, that could lead to some pretty weird places.
And there is like, I think they were all primed for this like the gnosis hidden knowledge thing because that's the Seventh-day Adventist church was like really big on that and really big on like diverging from, you guys are getting it wrong, you're missing a lot of this.
Right.
And so I think that there was like, oh, you guys are missing it, and like the Seventh-day Adventist church, the people who were like, oh, you're missing it, they're like, you're actually missing it too. And so maybe there's part of that there. Have we ever talked about in high school that project I did about the Seventh-day Adventist church?
No, did you do a video where you were the lead of the Seventh-day Adventist Church and you're like, my fellow Seventh-day Adventists? Did you do that?
Honestly, pretty much. I did a video. It was a video project. It was a video project. The assignment was like to outline the history of the Seventh-day of different. Everybody got assigned a denomination. We got a Seventh-day Adventist, and it's like a 12-minute action adventure movie with 1 minute of content in the middle. And in that content moment,
discuss you being like this. By the way, the Seventh-day. It's like the movie has nothing to do with it. You're recreating Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, right? And then it just cuts to you at a desk being like, "Oh yeah, the other thing about this that we were supposed to do." The Seventh-day Adventists.
No, what happened?
Back to the movie.
The plot line is I got kidnapped and they were trying to keep me from getting the message of the Seventh-day Adventist Church out. And so I'm in prison and I meet another prisoner who helps me break out. And in that moment, he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And there's a dramatic moment where I slam my arm on the on the wall. And I'm like, I believe, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I remember in the middle of my speech, there's a thing where I say, and people forgot.
I believe that God's the Father. I believe in Christ the Son.
I need to track down the video because there's I remember saying like God gave Moses the 10 Commandments and people followed all of them, but then there was one of them that everybody forgot to follow, and it was remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. And he said, and I was like, and that is why we need to break out of here. And then it was like, this, it really was
tomorrow, because today is the Sabbath. That's why we need to break out of this prison tomorrow.
We need to track it down, and maybe we can put it on Patreon, or maybe we can do an episode where I pull it out.
That's crazy.
It is 12 minutes long though, and
put it out on Patreon. It's in our Discord now for sure.
My teacher gave us a B because he said you did not do the assignment, but the video was entertaining, so I'll give you a B.
Then okay. That's how you pass school. Well, if you like this episode, share it with somebody and go watch the John Harvey Kellogg episode. And then, join us on Patreon where you can apparently watch this epic film. The wait is over. The movie is here. And you can also, I'm sure, watch some of my high school show choir performances as well. Those are definitely in the Discord as well. So thanks for being here for the show. We'll see you next Tuesday.